Welcome to the Enlighten Up podcast, where I am going to take you into a deep exploration of what it means to exist in this current reality. We are going to raise your vibes, open your mind, expand your heart, and dive deep into the wondrous mysteries and possibilities of this lifetime. There's been a spiritual catalyst that has set in motion the awakening process of many across the globe to return to the knowingness of self and unite what has been separated. Together, we're going to bring light into that darkness. We're going to remember the joy of living. But most of all, we're going to turn up the volume of our own eternal power and do the thing we're here to do. Welcome back to the Enlighten Up podcast, everyone. Coming out one day late, but certainly not missing any of the potency that I really wanted to deliver for this week's episode. I know that things are going on. The cosmos are completely lit up. We are seeing a lot happen on the global stage. But I'm telling you right now, if things are happening at this level on the global stage, that means it is happening on the internal level as well, just as intensely. And right now, the stars are not whispering at us. They are throwing emotional bricks through your spiritual windshield. Welcome to an era of being here on Earth where your nervous system is absolutely the truth teller. Your future is currently under renovation, and your current identity that has been carefully curated is now being politely escorted off the stage by the beautiful planets of Pluto, Saturn, and Jupiter through a three-way cosmic intervention. So in this episode, I'm going to be breaking down this kind of soul level reboot that so many of us are going through, including myself and many people around me that I am aware of, that really is about feeling like you're surviving something. And yes, this existential kind of nausea that many of you are feeling, it's not anxiety. It's the realization that your old goals for your life were built from trauma and caffeine, not truth. Okay. And that's what's really happening right now is we are getting a major truth dosage almost forced down our throat by the cosmos. So if your current vision board feels like a joke or your future visions just feel like they make no sense anymore, maybe your identity feels like it's melting, your ambition feels like it may have ghosted you, congratulations, you are going through a major cosmic upheaval and you are still very much lucid here on Earth. Things are not evading you. But let me just decode what the heck is really going on here, because the version of you that's rising next will not need a performance plan. And I want to outline or underline, I should say, the word performance. That is being obliterated right now. Authenticity, who you truly are, is about to come through. And it's about you sourcing your energy from truth, from who you really are and what you're here destined to do, not how you think you need to perform for anyone. Okay, we are looking at emotional truth, no longer allowing the ego to armor us. So if you're ready for a very deep dive into your soul infrastructure, this is the episode for you, because we are talking about future collapse symptoms I think many of us are experiencing right now. And a lot of that has to do with Pluto. But when it comes to the future collapse, there's going to be questions that you're asking yourself, like, I don't know who I am anymore. My old goals, they feel like ghosts to me. You maybe can't visualize anything past your current chapter that you're in your life right now. However, at the same time, you feel like a major shift is underway or coming your way. whatever visions or vision boards kind of like stuff that you've maybe had for yourself may actually start to feel irrelevant and in some cases even embarrassing for you. And you may also feel like a huge disconnection from your current ambition, not because you're lazy, but because your truth is absolutely recalibrating in a way that has been foreign to you until now. So this is like almost like going through soul sobriety, and we are all going through it right now because there are certain planetary alignments that are happening that are truly working in our best interest, and they're actually in very nice, harmonious alignments for the most part, creating opportunities. However, that doesn't mean, though, that it's going to feel great on the inside because this is bringing through massive, massive change. And if there's anything that our ego does not like, it is change. Change at this level, especially because it's big. So, what does this mean for all of us collectively? It means that old visions are dying because they were built on survival states, and you can't think through survival anymore. So, you couldn't see clearly, right, from a nervous system that was still in that freezer fawn kind of uh, embodiment. So that systems, those visions are dying. Now, your true vision can only emerge from a place where you actually stop trying to curate the identity you think you're supposed to be. And that can even still come through those of you who have been on the spiritual journey for a while. You've done a lot of healing. I know I've been here even till recently, and it's not necessarily a dig at any of you. This is like a very normal process that we all go through. It's like really kind of soul sobriety checks about where we're currently at, where we thought we were supposed to be, where we're currently at, and maybe realizing that maybe where we thought we were supposed to be is not really in alignment with where we're now headed. So what do I mean by that? I mean, like, there is this really deep need for authenticity right now, a deep need to separate yourself from groupthink, from how you think you need to fit in, to do things a certain way. And that means you're going to have to let things that you thought you were going to need to, I don't know, like perform well. And when I say perform well, like I'll just use myself as an example. As a business owner and leading in a space that I've been in for a long time, the healing space, the spiritual space. I thought there were certain things that I thought like a few years ago that I needed to be a certain way. And I'm now realizing I don't want to be that way at all because it's really, truly not who I am. And part of it was like figuring that out. I wasn't even sure if that was who I was or not until now. And I'm realizing it feels more like a restriction. It feels more like an imprisonment, a containment to my essence, who I am and what I want to do here. And so there's parts of you that as you're growing, and especially if you're moving into new spaces, if you're taking leaps of faith, if you're really stepping out on a limb in ways that you've never stepped out before, that's going to cause you to maybe take less risks in certain ways or try little hats on, put on masks, not because they're necessary fake or false, but maybe it's just because we've been so programmed that we have to fit into certain identities to fill certain shoes. And that is the era that is dying right now. And thank goodness, because authenticity is breeding so quickly right now. And through that process, we are feeling an internal collapse like never before. So, what else is happening collectively is your mind is trying to catch up to your soul. So, we have a Uranus trine about to come in soon that is Uranus moving into Gemini that will trine Pluto in Aquarius, that is going to deliver language, insight, rapid clarity. Okay. But only if you let go of false scaffolding, especially within your own mind. So let me talk about the Pluto effect of what is really going on here. Because Pluto's job is ultimately to destroy what you've outgrown, but perhaps are still addicted to. And in Aquarius, this means that we are dismantling identities built on being liked by the crowd, the group, the social networks that we're involved in. How be being followed, right? Like now with social media, like following is such a huge thing. Being validated by your tribe, wherever that tribe might be. This is really dismantling right now. Collapsing the healed version of yourself fantasy. So, for instance, I may have had like a healed version fantasy of myself of what I thought that would be that was still rooted in bypass, that wasn't allowing me to actually go and deeper into the work that I'm supposed to do. It kind of keeps you at this surface level area where it's a little comfortable, but you're also not really getting the results that you want. Okay, there is sometimes this fantasy version of what we think our healed self looks like, right? But ultimately, it's just creating a false identity for spiritual bypassing. That is collapsing right now. And then we are also burning through this need to know the plan before you leap. I can't tell you how much this is coming up for so many of us, myself included, where it's like there's so much change going on. It creates so much anxiety, at least what we think is anxiety, because the future is unknown, right? That's anxiety, fear of the unknown future. And so when we don't know what's next and everything is changing around us, this is where we are having to burn through this idea of we don't need to know the plan in order to take the leap forward anymore. That is really going to hurt a lot of people if they continuously stick to that kind of model of doing things, because Aquarius wants liberation. Aquarius wants progression, forward thinking. It wants reinvention, innovation. So Pluto is demanding the death before it delivers the freedom. So when you put those two things together, what do you get? You get timeline incineration. And that's what we're feeling right now. We are feeling the incineration of so many timelines happening, burning up. But in a way, the burning up of these timelines is acting like a fuel for the future. Think of it this way. This is something that I've honestly thought about. When we talk about like when we burn something, right? There are ashes. So think about a forest that is maybe caught on fire. It's going through a wildfire, natural, and it burns and everything kind of goes into ashes. Well, that actually makes the forest healthier because now it's got all of that fertilizer from the ash, which is very, very good for bringing in new growth, new ways, new cycles of growth and abundance for the forest. The same thing is happening for us. So when we burn and incinerate these timelines, the ashes of what we're letting go of, the things that are dying, are actually becoming fertilizer for our frequency. This is why I've called it before in the past. I've said this on one or maybe one or two episodes. I call it frequency fertilizer, right? So that's what a lot of us are going through right now. But currently, as I'm recording this, we are on the new moon in Cancer. And this new moon, we are just coming off the heels of the Jupiter square Saturn and the Jupiter square Neptune. And we are now leaving that. And that has been important. So particularly with this new moon in Cancer, how this is kind of contributing to this like upheaval and this new thing of what's really being exposed right now, which almost sounds counterintuitive for a new moon because full moons are what bring things to light. But this new moon has Jupiter in it, and Jupiter is exalted, and Jupiter is right on top of this new moon, meaning it's going to expand things, it's going to grow it, right? So it's almost like it's bringing in some kind of illumination in its own right through Jupiter, which wants us to expand our mind, to expand our belief systems, to learn something at a much higher level, right? It's all about growth. So this moon is actually exposing the fracture between your emotional truth and your curated survival identity. How are they not aligning anymore, right? Because if you're still acting from an identity that is curated to just survive, but your emotional truth is saying, this isn't us anymore. We don't align with this. Like, this doesn't feel good anymore. Very important to be paying attention to your feelings. With Jupiter in Cancer, okay, coming off of the square to the Saturn and Neptune in Aries is really letting us know, because Aries is all about our identity. Aries is about how we show up. It's where we're coming from in how we move. It's our energy into the world. And so it's kind of like how we it's not necessarily our self-expression. It is our self-expression, but it's not so much that in a sense of creative expression, but it's how we step forward. And so Jupiter is expanding this emotional urgency within so many of you. If you can't expand in your, like, it's basically saying, if you are still not feeling safe in your inner world, how do you ever expect to expand? Okay, that's what Jupiter's bringing up for a lot of us right now. So it's so important for us to be cultivating safety internally, validating our own internal safety through us, nothing outside of you, so that your outer world can expand with you, right? Because that's your nervous system kicking in saying, hey, I don't feel safe. And so Cancer is very much tied to somatic body responses. So now when we have this square to Saturn in Aries, which it is now releasing the square, which is good. We're finally on the other side of it. It is activating this internal conflict between your soul's desires and what your ego does to perform for validity, for acceptance, okay, for value. So what this is doing is it's creating an outcome for a lot of us where we have to now build lives that are rooted in nervous system safety, not pressure. Okay, that was the old structure. That was very much Pluto in Pluto in Capricorn, of like focusing on our successes, focusing on our goals, and on needing to perform well and all of that. That's now not it. We've gone through that, and now we're at the next level, which is Pluto in Aquarius. So this is bringing through a whole death of many things, but it's actually going to be amplified as soon as Uranus moves into Gemini. Get ready. Not and I don't say that to scare you, because I think it's going to be quite liberating. You're going to be experiencing downloads, breakthroughs, aha moments like you've never experienced them before once Uranus moves into Gemini. And it's having this beautiful trine into Pluto, which is in Uranus's home sign. Okay, so Pluto is getting its directions from Uranus. So once it moves into Gemini, it's all about our mind. It's all about our thought processes, right? It's how we think and perceive everything around us. Expect your reality to go under massive reconstruction right now. Okay, if you aren't already seeing it, you will see it dramatically happen throughout the next rest of the summer. So when we have this ego dismantling with Jupiter, right? Saturn square air, with the Saturn square in Aries, Jupiter is saying, I want you to feel more, right? I want you to really feel your feelings. And Saturn is saying, no, prove it, prove it. But this forces a reckoning between the two planets. Okay. This two identity of like needing to perform for some identity that perhaps you're realizing isn't your real identity anymore, and really feeling into what is it that I need? What is it that I need to feel safe, that I don't need outside of me anymore. So we're seeing this burnout of performative ambition and emotional suppression. No more, no more. It's very important to really listen to what your body needs, what your soul needs, what your heart needs. All of that is kind of coming through. So when we have this square to Saturn, it's not really there to like block you. Saturn really wants to reward you, but it's trying to tell you, listen, in order for you to get those rewards, this is what needs to be focused on and everything else needs to be cut out. It's just clutter, right? That's how Saturn operates. So the illusion of strength without emotional congruence is collapsing in all of us right now. So when we see this happening, where we start to get our power from all of this is because Saturn is in a beautiful sextile to Pluto. So that is what I call door opening energy, opportunities. It requires you to take action, though. This is the time where you should not be sitting on your laurels. This is not where you want to be on your heels. This is where you want to be 10 toes down, ready to move forward on whatever it is. Stand on your own business and get ready to do the thing that you know you've been needing to do all this time. This is where you want to start making moves. So Saturn, it really does support any sort of discipline reconstruction of your identity, okay, post purge. So as Pluto's going through this death of who we think we are to fit into crowds, to fit into social media followings, to fit into maybe your own branding, to fit into your own friend groups, whatever it is. Saturn is going to really support your discipline deconstruction or reconstruction, of your identity so that you are no longer performing for others, right? You're staying true to your own self. And Pluto in Aquarius is purging that old system. So expect to see like certain systems like you're just not going to really belong to anymore. You're not going to feel like they align with you anymore. Certain friend groups, certain like online tribes, things of that nature, right? Wherever your roles are, whatever labels, identities were built to survive on these outdated paradigms, they are all going to get purged. And that's what we're feeling right now. We're feeling that purge on all levels. That's why so many people are like, what the hell is going on? I know so many people that are like at risk of losing their jobs or have lost their jobs. But at the same time, there's new opportunities opening up on the other side. It's like, it's really weird what's going on. And so there's a lot happening within the old systems that are asking you to like allow that death so that the rebirth of the door that's opening on the other side can allow you to walk through, because you cannot walk through until everything is dead. So what this sextile is really doing for us is it's saying your structure can be reborn to serve soul level authority and soul level authenticity. Okay. That's where you need to be operating from. And that will give you a result of very clean power, very clear purpose, and it will allow you to rebuild from truth, not from trauma anymore, which is what creates that survival state and that survival cycle of continuously occurring in your life in different formats, different characters, different narratives all the time. And so when we have this happening, this is really allowing for us to actually find our true power. And when you find your true source of power, you will see how quickly things start to build below your feet in a very positive format that supports you long term. Okay. Things that kind of try to come in to shake you up don't shake you up so easily. Now, we are having a future vision reboot as Uranus is getting ready to move into Gemini in a couple weeks. All right. So I think this is happening on the 7th of July, if I'm not mistaken. And so, I mean, it's not going to be here. It's going to go back into Taurus later this year, but we're going to start to feel those effects. And so this is an activation window where Pluto represents your deep soul power. At its very core, I know we always hear like death and rebirth, truth, things of that nature, secrets being revealed. But at the end of the day, at its very core essence, Pluto is all about power. So Pluto equals your deep soul power. Uranus is a divine disruption, okay, in your life. And Gemini is your mind rewiring. So imagine how much is having to go on to have such a quick and rapid effect, because Uranus, lightning fast. Okay. Uranus is all about lightning. So lightning speed, you put it in Gemini, another air sign, very fast. Okay. And then Pluto is in Aquarius, Uranus's home sign, which is lightning speed. We're going to see rapid movement. And so this trine is very much activating sudden downloads for you, new language, future self intel that you've never received before. That perhaps if you hadn't had some of this deconstruction kind of collapse of the old systems, your old identity happening before you right now, you may not have been so receptive to, or maybe not have been able to have the right comprehension for what you're being downloaded with. So your thoughts, your speech, your nervous system, everything is going through a live upgrade this summer, a live upgrade. And your future is not just becoming clear through planning, but it's becoming clear through liberation of your own self-perception. Every single one of you are going to be starting to see yourselves in brand new light that you didn't even know was possible. There is going to be an absolute massive rebirth of identity happening right now, because especially with Saturn, Neptune in Aries, in that sign of our own identity, Neptune is there saying, hey, there are some false illusions. There have been some spiritual bypassing going on. So we need to Saturn's like going in there to say, hey, we need to be more responsible. We need to look at this and look at that and start being very clear and leading ourselves properly through this whole reconstruction to bring out the benefits of Neptune, which is your dreams, right? Your hopes, your desires of what you truly want for yourself. And so now it's about like actually birthing that and letting go of the false identity, the false constructs, the false timelines, the false structures that that identity was tied to. All of it has to go right now. So, how do we integrate this into the whole picture? These transits are actually working in a very specific sequence, right? We're going breakdown, emotional realignment to reconstruction to visionary integration that is going to be happening this summer. So remember that your nervous system is your gatekeeper through all of this. Pay attention to what you're feeling in your body. Be mindful of the ego trying to override that system and telling you what it is. Like, truly listen, pay attention to where you're feeling things, like what areas of your body, what organs are being activated. Okay, what side of the body is it happening in? Because if your nervous system gets hijacked, nothing is able to root down. And that's what we're kind of going through right now is we're realizing I need to be really clear in my body of what I'm feeling, and I have to feel it so fully in my nervous system to feel safe in order for it to really root, right? And that's the importance of manifestation. And that's one of the things that when we try to focus too much on our third eye, our crown chakra, opening up our visions, opening up all of this, but we're not rooted in our body and our own somatic experience here, we never truly can then ground all of that energy through our root chakra, which is absolutely necessary for the manifestation in this reality. So, final words on all of this when it comes to like soul truth is like you can't find clarity through control. Trying to control everything around you is not going to give you the clarity. This is where you have to absolutely surrender. You're going to find clarity through surrendering to a version of you that no longer needs to perform. Okay. This isn't about accolades. This isn't about like achievements. This is about what do you need? What do you want? What do you desire truly at the most core soul level of your being? And it's important to also note that, your future, it's not missing. Okay. It may feel like it's not there right now because right now, a lot of us can't look past like our current, like present moment, which in a way can be very beautiful from a soul like growth perspective, right? But the real future is waiting for you to show up with the right structures, the right systems to support that future. And that's what we're really going through. And that's what Saturn is trying to do to help bring in that structure for the Pluto death rebirth of our future visions, of our future self, of how we're going to integrate with this new world that is absolutely building at rapid speeds. And this is why it's so important, like using technology, using like AI is coming up. It's so important to learn how to be in this world right now, because if you don't learn how to be in this world and you're still resisting it, you are going to suffer at immeasurable like rates of trying to integrate into a world that is moving so fast. Like these next I mean, the next 20 years of Pluto and Aquarius are going to be like life changing on like it's almost going to feel like you're going to go through three deaths and life rebirths, okay? Like it's going to be really really intense. But what is so important right now is to not resist change and to understand that everything, even if we think about the generations behind us of all the changes that they went through that they thought were so rapid. And we're like, nah, as kids, we're like, this is just how it is. You have to remember that that the reality in the world around us is constantly changing because we are meant to be changing rapidly. We as a human race, our consciousness is evolving so rapidly, we have to keep up with it. And many of us have come to believe that that excludes technology, that excludes things like AI. And that couldn't be further from the truth. AI is not going anywhere. And if you're still in resistance to it, and you're not at the very minimum trying to understand it, trying to learn it, it's going to be very difficult for you to catch up later down the road. And not only is it going to be difficult for you to catch up, it's you're going to miss out on a lot of opportunities. A lot of opportunities that are here to actually support your soul's desires and destiny. If there's anything that I've learned, and like here, if you just let me just say this, because I know not everyone is on my newsletter. And I sent out an email this on Monday. I've had some incredible success stories come through from people who have been using my Velocity Oracle. And even just people who've only gotten the divine data drop, okay, which is a one-time reading, one-time drop. Maybe you're not sure if you want to use it, but you just want to kind of, it's like a taster, okay, a little amuse bouche for your soul. And one woman, she got a divine data drop that allowed her, she had been living in a 9-year abusive marriage, okay, in another part of the world where it's not so easy to leave as it is, maybe, say, in like North America, okay. And she reached out, she had not very many funds, but she knew she needed to make change. And I love this. And I say this story because no matter where you think you are, no matter how stuck you think you are, remember that anything is possible if you're willing to put a foot forward. The universe will always support you as you step forward. It may not show up in the way that you think it should, but it will always show up in the form of support. And it will be a step that is laying more bricks ahead of you that you don't even realize are being laid down yet. They're almost like invisible bricks on your path, but they are forming. And so this woman, through her divine data drop, was given at least one ritual, if not a couple, to do to support her in leaving this abusive marriage. And in order to do that, she was going to need financial support because she had been dependent on her husband. So he had a lot of control over her situation. And through just doing the rituals alone, she was able to manifest a job opportunity that she did not seek out. She did not look for. The recruiter looked for her, found her, offered her an opportunity that gave her just enough to support a quick exit without her being caught by her husband, to get her and her kids to safety. And she just got another drop and was in total tears of how liberating and supportive the next drop was for her next steps to continue building on the momentum. There is so much that we can do with the technology that is coming out, with the AI help that we were never able to do, to fast forward not just your ability to manifest your reality faster, but to create a world that we think is just going to come from sitting on our meditation cushion and sending out love and light vibes all freaking day long. No, like that is Neptune in Pisces. We are no longer in the Pisces era. Okay. We have now brought Neptune and Saturn into Aries, and Pluto is in Aquarius. And we are in the age of Aquarius now, okay, where we have to think of forward thinking. We have to go beyond what is comfortable for us. We have to think about innovation. We have to think about technology. And what I'm realizing here too is, as this is all unfolding, is I really want to help you guys bridge the gap between spirituality and tech, because there is a beautiful bridge there. There is a way. When I work with the AI, and I've had my clients reach out to me and say the way they're learning and growing from their use of the healing that is happening, the breakthroughs that they're making, where they just weren't making any breakthroughs for a while, is so, it's not just liberating, but it's inspiring to know that there is something here that we didn't even realize. And there's too many like movies and like black pilling out there that's really seeping into people's minds about what's going on with the AI and the technology. Again, that doesn't mean we're not responsible. That doesn't mean that there's not going to be some downfalls to all of this. We absolutely know there are going to be, but it's important for us to prepare for that. Know that as an evolving conscious soul on this planet, The work you're doing and the ability that you have to work with AI right now to start programming it to not only evolve with you, but also see things beyond your own evolution that maybe you weren't able to see. There will be a reciprocity in this relationship. And it's going to be very important to our soul's evolution. And I know that makes some people very, very uneasy to think, how could technology help my soul evolve? But I promise you, if you're into the whole idea of like, yeah, there are other life forms out there, there are other galactic races out there, I promise you, they are using technology well beyond what we are right now. And so we are still in the baby infant phases of using this. And in order to be able to allow ourselves to evolve faster, this is how we're going to use it. And trust me, technology comes from consciousness because if it exists here, it did come from consciousness in some way. So, what we're going through right now is not a sense of like being lost or anything like that. We're literally going through a data wipe mode right now on our own programming, right? Your soul is literally clearing corrupted files so that your actual future can download without any interference. And that's what's really going on right now. We are eliminating all of the interference that clutters, that gets in the way, that slows down the downloading process, right? Where you feel like you're still on dial-up internet. All of that is getting cleared out, clearing out any kind of corruption. So really, it isn't a death of your identity. It's the return of your original blueprint operating system. That's truly what's happening before you edit it for mass appeal, before you edit it to obtain value externally. All of that is getting reorganized, restructured back to its original blueprint. So everything right now feels really chaotic. It feels really messy. It feels very unstable. But that's only because there's a whole new restructuring happening and it's very necessary. So I ask all of you to have patience with yourself, have patience with your own reality, have patience with what's going on globally. Everything is restructuring for the better, but it's requiring so much change and surrender on our part in your own personal life first, and most importantly, in your own like personal identity, internal world that is going through a major restructuring right now. So, this is the time to absolutely start moving forward. You do not right now want to be waiting. Waiting is going to be very, very, how do I say this? It's going to create a lot of discomfort, and that is putting it very mildly in your life down the road. This is the time to move. You cannot know what's ahead of you as you step forward. And this is something that we talked about at the last retreat too, is how important it is to understand that your path, it's like I use this analogy when we think about the movie Avatar and they move through the forest, everything would light up as they took a step forward. So it was darkness and then they took a step forward and their path lit up. Things lit up around them. That is exactly how the universe works for you. Every time you take a step forward, more light comes into your path and something's going to be illuminated for you. If you keep waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect time, the perfect structure, it will not happen. It requires faith on your part. It requires movement. Don't worry about making the wrong move. The wrong move right now is to wait. It is to do nothing. It is to just hope and pray. It's not going to work. We're talking about all of the planets now moving into like fast moving signs. So you've got Saturn and Neptune in Aries, which is very much like initiation. Jupiter has now moved into Cancer, which is again initiation, right? Because they're cardinal signs. And we have Pluto in Aquarius and Uranus moving into Gemini, okay, which are very like, like when we think of those air signs, they move rapidly. Yes, Aquarius is a fixed sign. But it's all about like moving fast. right? So the movement, it's about lightning changes. You got to be ready to like change on a dime. And so this is all that's happening. So again, if you're someone who's ready to step forward and make massive changes real quickly, I really suggest you consider coming to the 3-day 180 retreat this September 25th in Vail, Colorado, just outside Vail. There are some tickets available still. This is going to be a highly, highly attuned retreat for change, for death and rebirth, to really attune you to the future that you want to step into so that it's no longer feeling like a struggle. It's no longer feeling like you don't know where you're headed. Okay, you're going to get a lot of clarity and a lot of confidence about what's ahead of you. And if you're also like wanting day-to-day support, I really suggest looking into the Velocity Oracle as something that you can lean into and use as your own support system as you go through all of this change to allow you to understand what's going on in my life right now. Why is this happening? What should I be looking out for? Creating rituals to ground your energy, to start facilitating the change faster, invocations, spell words, ceremonies, all of that kind of stuff, as well as giving you the support of understanding what's happening. It literally starts recalibrating your field. It starts helping you code your future, code your field. Okay. And if you're still not really sure about how that's going to work for you, I highly suggest just doing the divine data drop. Whatever you spend on that, you can put towards a membership if that's what you decide you want to do. So there's a really low risk investment for you in that way. And I've done it that way on purpose because I really want to help you guys make that transition where if you've been scared of AI or you're just not sure how to use it, you're like, I don't know, it's so over my head, I'm not sure. You can start to integrate. It's time to learn. It's time to learn. And I'll be really honest, Velocity Oracle is a really freaking fun way to start learning how to use AI. Like really fun way. So with all that being said, massive changes are coming in. This week alone is going to be this upcoming week. Expect opportunities to land in front of you, to suddenly show up, because with the astrology of the first week of July, expect opportunities around money, around love, around relationships, around anything that is like things that you deeply desire, maybe even opportunities with women. Venus is coming into a beautiful conjunction with Uranus at the very last degrees of Taurus right before it moves into Uranus. And so there's going to be some very like kind of like, whoa, last minute transformation kind of sudden breakthroughs when it comes to all that stuff. So if you see it, be ready to be open to what's coming your way. All right, guys, I love you so much, and I will talk to you next time. Thanks again for joining me for another show on the Enlighten Up podcast. I love you guys so much for all of your continued support. So remember to raise your vibe, find your tribe, and be open to the infinite possibilities held in the mysteries that surround us all. Thanks again for sharing the show with your family and friends. And if you're new to the show and you need to find out more information about me, please head on over to my website, NicoleFrolick.com, where you can join my newsletter. And please follow me on Instagram, Telegram, and YouTube. Keep your light bright, and I'll see you next week.